The players came face to face to a creature so big they couldn't even see it completely in their peripheral vision. But how did it come to that? Hey old players, and welcome to the recap of Mirror Mirror Reflections section number 8, I believe it is at this point. Whew. And forgive me if I'm lagging, I have been so effing tired. Like, I almost forgot to record, I almost didn't record this recap for two reasons. One, I'm extremely tired. I've been tired this whole freaking week. Two of my players were extremely tired as well and almost fell asleep during the session. Not because it wasn't exciting, it's because they were more tired than they were excited by the session. And I started binge watching Gotham today on Netflix, which honestly is not bad. It's a lot better than Arrow, so there's that. Alright, so our session begins. Our players are in front of Messing Glamp, and they're still deciding whether to go around or through it. And I told them if they go through it, it's gonna take them about an hour to go through it because it's a big city. If they go around, it's gonna take them like 2 hours, 2 hours and a half maybe. Eventually, what they assume is the ghost of Duke Drummond, starts approaching them. Jack takes out his sword and points it at him and says, "Stay back, you know, like, stay back, fiend." And Drummond just raises his hands and turns around and leaves. So they decide to circumvent the area. They go around it. Jack sees what he believes to be the ghosts of his, like, not ghosts, like demons. He believes it's all demons pretending to be people they cared about. So he sees his parents working the fields. They just keep on going. They arrive at Endemont, and in Endemont they meet with Archduke Iactus, who tells them that, well, he confirms their fears. The man in the black, with the black book, with the big book, is out to get them, Iactus and Vivacio Augustus. So, you know, he says, "No, Jack, think about what's going to be your family name, your coat of arms, and all that stuff. You're going to be knighted tomorrow by the king. The king himself is coming here to knight you." Oh, they pass the night. They sleep in the Archduke's manor. The next day comes. They have a ceremony. Jack is knighted Sir Stormcrow of Gaatha. Somebody was very happy with that. The player actually, they had leveled up recently, but the player hadn't leveled up his character because he told me once I get knighted, I want to take a level in Cavalier. And I'm like, okay, that works. So he did. The other players had already leveled themselves up a session ago, and 2 sessions ago, saying he leveled himself up last session because of that. And actually he asked me to roll his HP. And usually he has been rolling really bad for his character's HP. But that one I rolled it and I actually got a 10, so you know that was good for him. After that they have like a party with the nobles. The king isn't there anymore, you know, like some figureheads are there. Jack is trying to see if he finds like somebody that's trying to marry off their daughter, so Jack could like marry into nobility and stuff like that. He just sees that a lot of people are like they really don't like him because he's a new noble, he's a knight, and he might now think that he's all that in a bag of chips. He rolled so well in one perception check that I actually told him that there was a noble that said, "Don't worry, I have my eye on him." But Jack didn't really, like, he was weirded out, but he didn't really follow up on that. And Proja, she got a note saying the little box that you have, put it behind such pillar, you know, like X pillar, a specific pillar that was given to her. That was in the, there was a specific pillar in the note that she had to put the little box in. So she went in, she asked the drows, because the nobles were going around the drows, they didn't stand near them. There was like 30 feet between the drow and anybody else, because people were like keeping away from the drow. So Proja uses the drow to walk to the pillar. The nobles that were standing there, they leave. And you know, Proja puts the little box in a crevice that was inside of the pillar. And then they leave to other areas, and some other nobles, the same nobles, go back to the pillar and they keep talking, doing what they were doing. And I told them, like, about an hour and a half, 2 hours into the party, you hear a scream and you hear a commotion inside the party room. And when they check out, near that pillar, there was a young nobleman on the floor with a metal stick, like a piece of metal, like metal stick sticking out of his chest, with some cogs on it and with a little figurine on top. And Jack checks it out. He finds out that it's a clockwork trap, but it's very difficult to decipher because there's so very little known about clockwork and Geatha. So eventually he's checking it out. Eventually the clockwork starts turning around, the little figure starts dancing, and it, like, the guy's chest blows up with a lot, shooting out a lot of shrapnel. But you know, since Jack has he has not ranks, he has evasion, he's fine. Didn't take damage. So all that happens. People start saying that it was the drows. Other people start saying that it was the new noble. You know, there was a lot of things going on. Jack is trying to roll his knowledge nobility or local to see who would have had it in for that guy. Who would have benefited the most. And I told him, well, honestly, nobody, because right now Iactus doesn't have a noble in waiting to put as the prince of that principality, because the prince, that kid that died, was the son of a prince of a principality, so he was the heir. That prince didn't have any other heirs, and the guy is 95 years old. So when that guy dies, nobody's gonna be able to claim his position, his princedom. But I told him there's nobody, like, what's gonna happen, a lot of princes are gonna try to invade the area to take over as much lands as they can. But there's no real one person gaining a lot from this. So Jack offers himself to go give the bad news to the prince and the princedom from where the young noble was from. And Iactus tells him, alright, you'll go, but I'm gonna send a lot of my guards with you, because you have no idea how loved that prince was. And if these news kill him, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble. So I'm gonna send people to protect you. Before they go, Jack commissions a breastplate. A couple of days later on the road, a messenger riding a really fast horse brings him the breastplate with his family insignia, which is a crow with his wings open, with a knife in one hand and a scroll in the other one. Really cool. Then they get to the city. People are staring at them really weirdly. They get to the castle that they actually have in the city, and they go up to the tower where the room of the old man is. And Jack, well, he tries to roll diplomacy, because he actually put a couple of ranks in diplomacy because he's now a knight, to try to, you know, lay in the news as softly as possible. And well, I told him that the man just perishes after he gives him the news. After that, a lot of the servants in the castle start attacking them. Iactus told them, I don't want bloodshed. If you're gonna attack anybody, I knock them down at least. At the most, knock them down. I don't want bloodshed. And they successfully escape with very few problems. Like, they have ballistas pointed at them once they left. They shot at him. Even though Jack has a high AC, they actually rolled a natural 20 on the attack roll with the ballista. They didn't confirm. But I remember I told the player he took 16 points of damage, but I was eating pizza at the time. So he understood 60. And I'm like, oh, it's a good thing it didn't crit you, because it would have been times 4. And he says, yeah, that would have just killed me completely. And I'm like, no. 16 times 4, it's just... You know, I was going like that. Like, that's not, you know, that's not that much. You know, it's 64 damage. And I think... And he says, no, that would have killed me. That would have been over 200 points of damage. He didn't say over 200, but like almost 200 points of damage. That would have completely killed me. And I'm like, no, they dealt... And he said, yeah, they dealt 60. And I'm like, no, not 60, 16. 16. I mean, they have ballistas. They're not that good. So, you know, 16 points of damage. And it was 16 points of damage on 66. So go figure, 16 points of damage on 6d6. I think that's under... that's way below average, but that's what they rolled. Yeah, because the average would be 6 times 3.5. Yeah, that is way below average. Way below average, actually. Wow. That is so way below average that it's not even funny. Anyways... They arrived to Endemont. In Endemont, Jack had told Iactus about what they saw in Messing Glam. Iactus told them that he was going to send people to investigate the area. They get to Endemont eventually, and they start talking to Iactus about what had happened. And here's where Iactus breaks it down. Basically, it was me as a game master breaking down what their options were. Because their idea is... One of the ideas Jack had was going to Varja, which is the gnome city, the gnome state of Varja. But Varja is really far away, I told him. The fastest way to Varja is 3 months, but it's going through the Ashlands. And nobody has ever crossed the Ashlands. Much less get a boat at the end of the Ashlands and cross to Varja. The other ways is a whole year travel through land or 6-month travel through the sea. That's what you have, because going through Varja is not a really good idea. It would just take way too long. But, you know, Iactus told them, some people came asking for you guys. Bibaccio says he has some armies. He has an army and he wants to give each one of you some troops, so you can lead them in the search of the guy with the book. And I have to tell them he's very up north. You keep heading north, eventually you'll find him. Besides that, he told them, I think there were 4, but right now I'm only remembering 3. He told them about the noble Proja helped out a long time ago. He's also there. He wasn't there, but he sent word for them that I remember the 4th one. He sent word for them that because of the whole debacle that's going on with the death of the prince and the princedom, the old prince, that his town has been emptied up because his troops went to serve their prince of their principality, and that he's having problems with organized crime. That he would give them each a house in his town. Sorry, they would give each one a house in his barony, and it will be, you know, properly equipped. And they said that wouldn't be a bad idea, because, you know, it's housing. The other one said, the Iactus also told them that Melek was asking for them because he would need to reinforce his forces because since he's in Banshee Keep, and Banshee Keep is such in such a strategic place, it would be good for anybody trying to conquer that princedom. And Malek said he didn't want to do anything with that war. And the other one was Iactus told him that there's a thing, a being in Mesinglam that wants them to work for it. That it's a benevolent being, as Iactus described it. It's a benevolent being, and those things are not demons, are ghosts, are the ghosts of people that used to live there. And they're having problems with apparently a mirror gate that is giving birth to a lot of weird creatures, pale creatures with tentacles for faces and clawed hands, the size of elephants and stuff like that. So quickly, Jack shut down that one of Mesinglam. The other two players were like, no, we're a bit interested in that one because, you know, if those weird things are there and the guy with the book has creatures like that working for him, there could be a connection. But Jack was having none of it. But the other two players were in no position to really discuss with him because they were really sleepy. Maybe for next session things are gonna be a bit different. Then, so yeah, those were like the four choices: the being in Mesinglam, Malek, the noble Proja helped, and Vivaccio. So they did decide to go help Vivaccio because, you know, Vivaccio, what he's doing is he's actually mounting a full frontal assault on the guy with the book, like looking for the guy in the book, moving troops to look and search for the guy with the book. So they decide that would be the best course of action to, you know, just get this over done with. So they decide for that. Iactus gives them a new carriage with 2 new horses, and they start heading north. And they travel north for about 2 weeks, and at the distance they can see the Vivaccio and his troops. They're in front of the Blizzard Wall. Now the Blizzard Wall is something in the setting of Mirror Mirror and the planet of Oglinda, where high up north it's very snowy. A lot of areas are just frozen, like very up north is just frozen water. But if you keep going north, eventually you'll end up in front of a very thick snowstorm. That if you're in front of it, you're gonna be cold, but you're not gonna be like, there's not gonna be any wind. Like, it's like a wind wall in front of you with a lot of snow. So obviously it's magical. So they're in front of it, and Malek told them, I had a dream where the guy with the book was in front of the Blizzard Wall and told me that I wasn't ready yet, that soon I was to fight him. Because Iactus told him that the guy with the book told them when they killed the red-haired girl that first he was gonna deal with Vivaccio, then the party, and then Iactus for last. That's what the guy with the book said. They still don't have a name on that guy. That's funny. Ah, man, I'm so freaking tired right now. I want to sleep. But the show must go on, right? So they're there. Vivaccio also tells them that a couple of the ice fishers that are around those areas got something black flying through the sky and into the Blizzard Wall, which could have been the guy with the book. So Jack has an interesting idea. He says, put rope around me and chains around me and tie the end of that to horses. I'm gonna go into the blizzard, and if 2 minutes don't pass, and after 2 minutes you pull me back up. You pull me out. So they did that back and forth a couple of times because I told them you need very high on your survival to be able to traverse the blizzard. Oh, he took his time, he rolled, you know, they would pull him back, he would gather himself, go back in, and eventually he got the number, he got 30 in total. Sorry. He got 30 in total, and he crossed. And I told the players, like the players that were outside the wall, you see the rope and the chain moving as it's been doing, but suddenly it like falls on the floor, goes limp, and they're freaking out. So I told Jack, alright, you break through the blizzard wall, and what you see before you is a very bizarre landscape. It looks very bleak. You see a lot of buildings, but not buildings as you're used to look at. They're basically stone buildings, but like constructed of a single stone slab, but they're like, they curve and they twist. At least you think they curve and they twist, but you don't know if they're upright or if they're on their side. They're these monolithic type structures, and the sky itself is kind of grayish blue, the parts where you can see the sky, because you can see the sky up to a certain point, and after that is like if there was no atmosphere in that area. So all you can see is you can see out to space. Like there's atmosphere and then there's space, so you could see stars and stuff like that. And at the distance you notice this polypus bulbous thing, like sucking up air to fly, like weird looking. Like I described, like a bulbous, like long, and even though it's probably like 200 feet away, you pretty like, even though it's like 100 feet away, to you it's still the size of a house. And he asked me, does it look like it's getting closer or further away? And I told him, well, both. It looks like it's getting further away, and it looks like it's getting closer to you. So he decides to go back into the blizzard wall. He starts rolling and rolling, you know, like he gets between 21 and 28 those first few times. On the other side, says Donna is trying to do the same. She wraps herself with a rope and, you know, tries to go away and does the same thing. Eventually, Jack rolled so low that I told him, well, you come, because every time he would come out to the same area in that weird place. But one, he rolled so low, he rolled under 20, that he was in a weird, like I told him, it's like a town square, but like it's these monolithic structures around you, almost covering up the sky. And in this clearing in the middle, you see this fleshy insectoid-like creature with a bulbous head that looks, even though it's like fleshy and insectoid in appearance, it's covered in a lot of fungi. Like it has claws, and at the end of, and I told him, like, it's on the floor, and apparently you could guesstimate it's dead because there's a pool of purple liquid under it, and on one of its claws it's like this weird fleshy tube that looks like it looks like one of the guns, like one of the flintlock pistols the Thracians use, but it's like made out of flesh. So Jack tells me, like, from where I am, can I see where I used to pop out? And I say yes. It's about 5 miles away. So Jack decides to head in that direction. So he starts heading in that direction, and eventually, at the distance, he sees a pale elephant-sized creature with claws and a big maw and a snout that ends in a lot of tentacles. And when he sees that, he jumps into the blizzard wall as well. But this time he actually rolled exceptionally well. And I told him, well, you're out, and you're out to the good side. And at the distance, very far away, you can notice the troops and Vivacio's troops. And I told the other players that were with Vivacio, a soldier with a spyglass told him that he saw James, because his name is James now. James, very, very far away. It was about 10 miles away. So eventually they head towards each other, and like at the middle point, 5 miles away, they meet up. James starts explaining everything he saw, but while he's explaining everything he saw, I explained to them that they see in the blizzard wall like a shadow behind the blizzard wall. And here's the thing, Proja had shot a fireball inside of the blizzard wall to see if she had any reaction. I said, like, the fireball goes in, but you don't see anything, you don't hear anything. She actually summons up a creature and sends it in, and I told her about 30 seconds after it goes in, you feel the magical connection that you have to the summoned creature completely, like, vanishes. So it was either killed or it disappeared. And I also told them, I explained them that Jack had been gone for 2 days. For Jack, it had been like a couple of hours, maybe like 3 hours, but for them it had been like 2 whole days. So while Jack explaining what's happening, I described the big shadow behind the blizzard wall, and I told them that breaking through the blizzard wall, they see a hand that looks like it's a humanoid in shape, the hand, but it's like it's made of rotten flesh that is rotting constantly, like something that will be putrefying, like in fast forward, but not like its skin is not falling off or anything. You can't see any type of bone. It's like constantly rotting. And then they see that, and then they see another one popping out, and then a leg, one leg popping out of the blizzard wall, and the leg, same thing, like humanoid looking leg, but completely and utterly rotten, and it's decomposing constantly, even though nothing is falling off, even though you don't see bone. It's not necrotizing itself into the bone. It's just decaying constantly and permanently, like it's under constant decomposition. But it's not even like it's not even like the flesh is regenerating. It's like it's just always decomposing without decomposing. But it's not like it's static, or like it's in state of decomposition, or it's decompensating. I forgot the word. It's decomposing constantly. And then I described like a gigantic face that bursts through the blizzard wall. And at this point, I'm telling them, like, you can't focus on all of this at the same time. You can only focus on one hand, the other hand, the leg, or the head. Also, the leg also had a lot of maggots wreathing on it. And I described the head as it's a humanoid-like head, no hair, no ears, and it's also under constant decomposition. Like it's rotting constantly. Not only that, it opens its mouth so big that the mouth actually peels back, and from the mouth another head pops in, like grows in its place, while the other like head peels back, and then that head opens its mouth and it peels itself back to reveal another head, and then it keeps going and going and going, and each head looks the same, and each head is decomposing constantly. And that's what I described to them, and that's where I ended the game. It was kind of a short session because we met up really late. We started the game like around 10, and we ended up like around 1, but to me it was like a short game. Also, since me, my wife, and another player, all 3 of us were so effing sleepy, and besides that there was 1 more player. I mean, I wasn't sleepy, I was dizzy for some reason that I can't explain yet. I was just extremely dizzy. But I wasn't low sugar because I had recently eaten. So I don't know, but 2 of my players were extremely exhausted and very sleepy. Me, I was just, I'm sleepy now, but me, I was just dizzy, and a bit nauseous. Well, not nauseous, just dizzy, like vertigo, a lot of vertigo. But yeah, like I described that monstrosity, that gigantic abomination, and that's where I ended the game. And I told them the next session, we're actually gonna play test the Titanic creature rules. Titanic creature rules are some rules that I'm developing to fight monsters that are larger than colossal. Like they have their own descriptor, which is Titanic. And a Titanic creature is basically like a moving dungeon. It has its own perils, its own traps. It has, even though you play with it with you follow what's the word, initiative when you're climbing a Titanic creature. because at the most, you know, like they're usually 10 feet. I mean 120 feet tall and stuff like that. So that's what I'm playtesting next week. Whether or not how the Titanic creature rules work, because each Titanic creature has certain vulnerable points, and that's how you deal damage to the Titanic creature, because just attacking it directly it deals no damage at all. But attacking the vulnerable points, that's how you deal damage to them. I already have the stats played out. I had a creature, but I'm gonna make another one because I had another creature for another area. But I told them that's how we're gonna start off the next session, with the Titanic creature battle, and let's see how it goes. Hopefully it's gonna be fun, and in a couple of months I'm gonna publish the Titanic creature rules with at least 5 Titanic creatures. So that's gonna be really, really, really interesting. I'm very excited for next session, just to see how the Titanic creature rules play out properly. So it's gonna be a lot of climbing. Hopefully the whole session doesn't go into fight, because I usually don't like sessions that are just one fight. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I wanted to give... I hope you understood what I was trying to do with the players this session. Like, now they know, they kind of understand what the guy with the book is trying to do, with all those weird looking creatures. And the whole, you know, like, I was trying to describe Chutuloid horrors, and like a place like Riley, like a place lost to reality and stuff like that, because I am a fan of the Cthulhu mythos. So that's what I was trying to do. One of the players actually told me that what I described he actually saw in a comic book. He brought me the comic book. It's Captain Nemo, Captain Nemo's daughter, Captain Nemo, from I think the New League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, something like that. That she goes way up north in the Antarctic, and she finds, like, it's basically like based on the Mountains of Madness, you know, based around that, the expedition to the north and finding these weird things. So there will be Shoggoth. There will be Shoggoth eventually. At least that's the idea and that's the plan. Anyways, up until next time, this has been Mirror Mirror Session 8. I hope you've been enjoying all of this. I know I am. Just sad that I'm so freaking tired. Up until next time, remember, Game Masters, make sure your players are having fun. Try to spice things up a little sometimes, you know, with the rules and stuff like that. Just to keep your players on their toes. And players, you know, again, if there's something you want, let the Game Master know, because one of the reasons I made it, you know, that they get to the blizzard wall is one of the players told me, I want to find out what's beyond the blizzard wall, and now he knows. And now he wants to run away. But, you know, some things are better left unchecked. Some things are not for human, dwarf, elves, or even drow eyes to know or see or hear. So, yeah, that's it. So, remember, rule number 1, always have fun.